after we recorded the pod last week, I decided I'll take a quick trip. I'll fly over to the United States to watch Venom Let There Be Carnage and then fly back to Australia. Actually,
Good.
You know what? I'm pretty sure I went to Russia because it had Russian subtitles and there were random advertisements for gambling all throughout the movie. I thought, this is very strange for a Venom movie. But anyway, I've now seen Venom Let There Be Carnage and
Thank God.
it's a movie. It certainly is a movie. It is a movie. Actually, you know what? It's barely a movie. It feels more like a TV show. It's very small. It's very short. It's very small in scope. It's literally an hour, because the end credits take up 10 minutes, and it's an hour and a half movie, so it's only really 120 minutes. Sorry, not even. An hour and 20 minutes of movie, which is like the midway point of a normal blockbuster, is the ending of this movie. It is so small. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I had fun going to Russia to watch that last week, and that's going to be our discussion of Venom. So you did it, Venom. You did it.
From Russia with love.
And see, that's very fitting.
As they say.
I don't think I will go to Russia to watch James Bond. I think I will wait until it comes out in Australia. But welcome, everyone, to a podcast now, episode 15?
15, 14?
Close
who
enough.
cares?
I'm pretty sure it's 15.
One of those.
It's somewhere around there.
I think it is.
I'm your host, Lachlan, and I'm joined by someone who is very guilty. Very guilty.
Yeah. Very guilty.
Lucas Boreham. Guilty of what? We don't know.
Guilt. We'll find out.
We will find out.
Yeah. In today's episode.
Exactly.
What are we covering, Lockie?
So we're covering two things. Firstly, What If wrapped up. It had its season finale. We haven't talked about the last 3 episodes, so we'll discuss those.
No.
And then we're going to talk about the new Jake Gyllenhaal movie called The Guilty, which was based off of a German movie, also called The Guilty, which we will get into. But first, the news. And it's been a bit of a slow week, so the only news I have is that they've identified the Zodiac killer.
Wait. Like the real Zodiac killer? The one from, is it the 80s that he killed a lot of people, or the 70s? I can't remember.
Yeah. He was a serial killer from, I don't know, can't remember.
I remember watching the movie.
Exactly, and that's the only reason we're talking about it, is because there was a movie called Zodiac. And so they've claimed it is a guy called Gary F. Posty, or Post. I'm not sure how you say it, but let's just say Gary F. Post. Let's just call him that. And what's interesting is the movie Zodiac, who directed Zodiac? It was someone...
It had Robert Downey
Jr., Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh, David Fincher. That's right. David Fincher.
Yeah.
Great.
Very good.
Great director.
Very good.
Zodiac's an amazing movie. And they put in a lot of effort researching the Zodiac killer for the movie. And they land on it being Lee Harvey Allen, I believe. Lee Harvey.
Yes.
Wait, I just want to confirm that. This is a very professional podcast. Yes. No, Arthur Lee Allen. Sorry, there we go. Arthur Lee Allen is who the movie claims is the Zodiac killer. And the story that it's based off, right? The investigative journalist, I believe, who's Jake Gyllenhaal. He ends the movie by saying, like, I just want to look him in the eye and know he did it. And then the final shot of the movie is him confronting Arthur Lee Allen, and he walks away like, yes, I saw the Zodiac killer. Like, that was the Zodiac killer.
I feel like when I watched the movie, though, I was still a bit on the fence. Like, I still feel like when I watched that movie again, it was more of the journey that was kind of exaggerated, and not the actual destination, which was finding the killer. So it's interesting now that they have actual...
So it's just been some I think FBI and military people who have been working on this case now, and they've said it's this Gary F. Post guy. apparently it's just like he had this red room that was filled with evidence that linked him to the killings, and his handwriting matched, and he had similar like Zodiac type whatever puzzles. I don't know what they were called, but the thingies.
That was strange.
And anyway, so I thought we'd just quickly touch on that to have at least a new segment, and it's somewhat movie related. Very interesting if you like serial killers. If you haven't seen Zodiac, go watch Zodiac. That's a great movie.
It is. It is a very good movie. But yes.
So now moving on, just something really quickly to touch on, because the news segment was very short. I thought we'd just read a few comments from our last video because people have some thoughts. So I posted a video of the quick, like in last week we talked about Free Guy, and for literally only like 2 or 3 minutes we briefly mentioned Ready Player One, but it made for a good clip. So I was like, I'll do that as the clip. And people definitely have some thoughts. Now, firstly, there was one person who I feel a bit bad for. I did bully them slightly, and they deleted their comment. So I just like to apologize to that person. I went a bit too hard. So what happened was they commented, tell me you haven't read Ready Player One without telling me you haven't read Ready Player One, right? Which was a dumb, smart-ass comment.
Nice.
And I responded with, look at this fucking nerd reading books and shit. And then he deleted the comment. So I am sorry for that. But your comment was stupid. For 2 reasons. Firstly, films should work independently of the source material they're based off. And secondly, my point still stands that Steven Spielberg doesn't know anything about video games, so would still need help. Even if it's based on a book about video games, he still doesn't get video games. So he still needs help. So that is why I went so hard at this guy. But I am sorry.
Fair enough. I don't blame you there. The comment, well, I mean, it was obviously posted on TikTok, a very TikTok comment. So, I mean, I can't excuse that. But yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I agree.
If you're going to post a snarky comment, I'm going to fight back, all right? I'm going to fight back.
Oh, yeah. We're going to fight, all right? We're going to fight till the end.
Exactly. But moving on to some more legitimate comments, a lot of people are saying Ready Player One is better. So, Penguin says, see, I like them both. Ready Player One had the Easter eggs hinted at hidden throughout the movie that made it more interesting to watch because you could look in the background and find all of these Easter eggs. Whereas Free Guy just has them mostly in the forefront. That is what...
Well, the only real Easter egg is, I mean, Ryan Reynolds' gin fucking company, eh?
Well, that's one of the only ones hidden in the background. But then, you know, the lightsaber and Captain America's shield, they're not really Easter eggs. They're just, like, in your face. No. Now, I don't necessarily entirely agree with that comment because a lot of Ready Player One is just Easter eggs shoved in your face, like King Kong, The Shining... Back to the Future, like they're all just shoved in your face. There was also the bit where he wore Superman's glasses to hide his identity. Like
that's true.
All of those are literally just in your face, right? And just because something has more Easter eggs doesn't make it better.
However,
what are your thoughts? I know. See, and here's the thing: is I'm coming out at it. I'm trying to defend Free Guy because I don't think Ready Player One is that good. I think Free Guy and Ready Player One are pretty on par with each other, but you seem to think that Ready Player One is better.
I feel like Ready Player One is, like, better only because it comes past, like, this... It has this more realistic feel to it, even though it's set in the future, obviously, but I mean, the technology that they have... in the time that they are in is very believable, and seeing when he gets a bunch of money and that he can buy the tech that gets him to feel stuff, like there is already today currencies in video games that can be transacted to real life currency. So I like that, and there were quite a lot of Easter eggs that were kind of hidden. Yes, the ones you mentioned were shoved in your face, but I feel like, it was just packed to the fucking brim, full of Easter eggs.
Why?
And
I'm curious. Why do you think Ready Player One does that better than, say, Space Jam: A New Legacy? Because that's arguably the same sort of thing, right? In that basketball game, in the background, there's every single Warner Brothers character.
That is very
just
true,
like Ready Player One, and we hated on it there. So I'm looking for some consistency. What makes Ready Player One better?
The only thing I'd say,
apart from being directed by Steven Spielberg.
Yes, that's true. Is just seeing that like that stuff is usable in like this video game world is realistic, if that makes sense. And I feel like that gives people like this, like that's realistic. Obviously people would, have the DeLorean as a car to use.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at like Rocket League, right, that has the DeLorean in it.
Exactly. And I feel like it just attacks that better because obviously Steven Spielberg can use all this source material and be like, fucking, of course it's going to be in a video game. Free Guy doesn't really lack because, again, they have, Chevrolet and stuff like that to help them with all the cars that, Grand Theft Auto uses. But they just obviously rebrand.
I'll say as well, like with Free Guy versus Ready Player One, Free Guy is more of a comedy. Ready Player One takes itself more seriously.
That's true. So that is very true.
And that's what I think a lot of these people are saying. Goat MJ says Ready Player One is really good. Orange says Free Guy is literally Lego Movie. That's a hot take. That's a hot take. But hey, I like Lego Movie. I think that's a great movie.
Lego Movie is fucking amazing.
Actually, Lego Movie's better than Free Guy, okay? So, no.
Oh, yeah.
It's not literally Lego Movie.
No.
Lego Movie's, like, goated.
But yeah, like, I feel like Free Guy captures this different aspect of video games itself. Like, the shit that the AI go through and, like, there was more brutality in in Free Guy. Whereas in Ready Player One was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
see, video games are very violent, and movies, while also being violent, they're not as violent as video games. I think Free Guy, still being like PG-13, leans into the violence way more than Ready Player One. Where in Ready Player One, like in a real video game, you have people screaming the N-word the entire time, right? So you can't have that in a movie. True. But in Ready Player One, it's like really family friendly, and maybe that's a bit unrealistic.
But at the same time, it still works.
Yeah. I mean, it works for the movie they're making.
It also had that component of, people that are in debt to the video game, remember?
Yeah.
And how she was taken hostage and had to just work as a slave in the video game. And I was like, I can see that happening because I feel like that already happens in, huge video games today, like StarCraft, I'm sure is fucking humongous. Humongous?
That's well, you've made it one now.
Yeah, it's fucking I made it one. But yeah, like other than that, I feel like Free Guy is definitely a funner and more exciting take on the video game.
Like they're both I think they're very similar. I do think they're very similar. But, the Garbon
it's hard.
Garbon Zeal, I think, Beans says, I like them both. Jeff says, I like you guys. Oh, thank you, Jeff.
Fuck off.
No, he actually said, I like you guys. Be nice to Jeff.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, Jeff.
You're our number one fan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Oh, my God.
Okay, let's not suck our dicks. So, moving on. GWS Giants says Ready Player One. Hunter Hunter says Free Guy will be a flop, which you're wrong. It's a success already. It's got a sequel. That's another comment I responded to and had a bit of a... Anyway, moving on.
Comment wars.
Pay or P says they're both really good. I can't pronounce this one. I'm just going to say blah, 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 blah. Says Ready Player One is better than Free Guy. A lot of people saying Ready Player One. Rip Funky, look, Ready Player One is my favorite movie. And Nick Chettle says Free Guy was shit. So the comment section of our last video seems to say Ready Player One's better. And I'm hurt.
I think looking at both of them and how they come about with video games, like Free Guy definitely covers the whole, how companies deal with video games a lot better. Like how Tsunami Studios is fucked, wants to just fuck with the devs and be like, oh, it's a broken game. Yeah. We don't give a shit. We're just going to put it out. But that was also covered in Ready Player One.
But in Ready Player One, it's different because it's essentially Willy Wonka, where you have this eccentric CEO who's created this world essentially, and he's finding an heir, right? He's finding someone to replace him. Like that's the premise. So it's literally Willy Wonka, which no video game developer will ever I don't know. It's a movie at the end of the day.
Yeah, I get what you mean. But, I feel like Free Guy covers the video aspect better because it's more in today's kind of circumstance with, side-by-side Grand Theft Auto 5. Whereas Ready Player One, as a movie, I feel like does a lot better because it just takes video games and it's, sick, let's just go with it and add, the that Shining kind of sequence in Ready Player One was amazing.
Just to go back to the guy who commented about that dumb fucking book thing, The Shining wasn't in the book, all right? That was Steven, because the book is filled with Steven Spielberg references, and Steven Spielberg's directing Ready Player One. He's not going to suck his own dick. So then he referenced other people's movies. So checkmate.
Checkmate. You've just been destroyed. But as I was to say, as I am continuing...
Yeah, sorry for derailing.
Recent. No, it's all good. I feel like Steven Spielberg definitely just exaggerates.
He's a master of his craft.
Exemplifies.
Right.
Yes. And he's given this video game idea and he just fucking goes with it and it's a lot better.
I've heard a lot of commentary around calling Steven Spielberg a magician because what he does is, some people really care about continuity and say that, if you have a plot hole or any sort of leap in logic in a movie, then the movie's ruined. It's how dare you? Whereas Steven Spielberg knows that in a movie, you could have plot holes and the movie still work. You could use plot holes intentionally. A great example is in Jurassic Park. There's a shot, it's when they're being attacked by the T-Rex, and there's a shot that shows the entire land that they're in and there's no escape. And then suddenly in the next scene, there's a cliff that they can conveniently escape using, right? And that's a very intentional misdirection. That's not a plot hole because Steven Spielberg did that intentionally to throw you off and to make you think that there is no escape and then surprise you when there was. So Steven Spielberg's a magician in that, and he understands that this is a film at the end of the day. It's a movie. It's not real. It doesn't need to abide by the same laws of physics as our world. It can be its own thing. So...
yeah. But at the same time, with that, how, they were looking around the area. There was no escape.
Yeah.
You're seeing it I feel like he also wants to, again, I use the word exaggerate.
Yeah.
That it's from the perspective of, the people that are experiencing the actual and so they look around outside the car.
They think that they can't escape. So then that's what the audience sees.
And he wants to exaggerate that feeling of fuck, there's no escape. And then, the car's fucking just thrown off the tracks. But I like that he does that. He's a very good actor.
So that's been our new segment, Talking Spielberg. I hope you enjoyed it. No,
Spielberg stories.
Spielberg stories with a podcast now. But if you have a good comment that's worth talking about, then leave it on one of our videos and we might read it. Yeah. There was just a lot of people saying Ready Player One was better than Free Guy, so I thought, well, may as well bring it up. But moving on, What If had its season finale last week, and before we get into the thoughts of the overall season, let's just discuss the final 3 episodes individually, and then we'll talk about the whole shebang. The Party Thor episode.
Look, it was probably one of the weak ones. Not gonna lie.
Probably, I think, certainly. It was...
Yes, certainly.
It was...
it didn't add much. Like, what were they thinking when they made this episode? They're like,
okay.
oh, what if Thor was an only child? It's like,
I'll explain what I think they were going for.
okay.
I think
Yeah, okay.
we've had this series of like really kind of dark episodes, like dark in tone, where a lot of people die. And we know that we're building towards some sort of larger story. So let's just take a break for one episode, have a light, fun-hearted adventure, and then we'll get back into it. Now,
Fair enough.
I think that's what they were going for, but it's so bad. Like, it just doesn't add anything of value. It's like,
No.
it's literally just Thor being a douchebag and partying across the world. There's no ramifications. Nothing matters. And I'm lost for words. Like, it's such a bad decision.
It is. Even when they have the Marvel Thor fight, you're like,
Captain Marvel.
who do I even want to...
Yeah, because
who do I even want to
this
win?
is the strangest thing. Why is Marvel making Captain Marvel so unlikable as a character? You know, she literally just comes across as like antagonistic for no reason.
Exactly.
As opposed to like being a hero and trying to, you know, be better, be the bigger man, right?
Exactly.
Or the bigger person, I should say. She's just coming in and is like, I'm just going to fucking beat him up because I'm the strongest person in the world. She's a really arrogant character, and it makes her really unlikable. It's really strange.
I feel like they've dug her into a hole, you know, being like, she's so powerful. I feel like there was a moment there for her to kind of problem solve and be like, how can both sides be happy? And that's where it usually, like, that's what usually happens. Is the hero's like, how can I make both sides happy? But instead she was like, I'm gonna beat his ass.
Yeah, it's like a brute force strategy that makes her seem really dumb. Like, and Thor's supposed to be the dumb one, and somehow he's coming across smarter. Like, it's
that is so true.
Baffling.
That is so true.
Baffling choice.
It's baffling, yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add? Because really, that episode broke me. And in fact, the week that we talked about Star Wars Visions, that was the week that the Party Thor episode came out. And that's why I was so anti What If at that point, because that episode literally broke me. And someone commented, just a quick another comment, someone commented, my opinion is What If is way better than Star Wars Visions. And then I respond with, because the Party Thor episode had just come out, I respond with, even the Party Thor episode. And then this person says, yes. And then followed with, maybe not the Killmonger episode. And I was like, no, that's just a wrong opinion. The Killmonger episode is vastly superior to the Thor episode.
Ding dong, your opinion is wrong. Yeah, I agree. Like, I understand what you mean by like, oh, they wanted a carefree episode, but it's like, I feel like you could have done like a lot more interesting carefree episodes.
It's like,
you know,
it's like Thor Ragnarok, right? Is a fun movie, but it has consequences. And a lot of these what ifs have consequences, but this one didn't.
Exactly. No,
so
it didn't. It was literally like Thor partying.
Yeah, he didn't get in trouble.
Literally.
Did he learn a lesson? No. I don't really think so. It was just like, don't get in trouble with your mom.
Yeah. Yeah, for fuck's sake.
He's Thor.
Like,
he's like 700 years old.
What I don't understand what they were trying to do. And like, but the whole what if was, what if Thor didn't have a brother and then he just parties? Like, really?
He just becomes a dick.
I feel like there should be more of a conflict. Like, you know, maybe Loki's god of something else.
But what if Thor partied too much?
What if Thor was written better? Maybe, I don't know.
But yeah, okay. Well,
what if Captain Marvel was written
She needs
better?
to. Honestly, they need to do something with that character going forward, because they're really very quickly ruining it.
Yeah.
So, for the love of God, Marvel, I don't know what you got to do, but I mean, it's similar to the situation with Thor, right? Thor wasn't anyone's favorites until Ragnarok, and then Infinity War elevated him even more, right? So they just need to do something like that with Captain Marvel, understand what's not working and try to make something better, right? I think Brie Larson is a fantastic actress. She's great in 21 Jump Street.
Amazing.
Like, anyway.
We haven't watched anything else that she's been in, But I mean, like,
No, she's been in a lot of good stuff. Like,
oh yeah. But I mean, like, I
You
personally haven't seen anything else because I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I do feel like it definitely Captain Marvel the movie. Like it, she's definitely being told, obviously, because the script and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can't blame an actor for everything.
no.
You never
I do
should.
not blame her for this at all.
Yeah. But it just like it unfortunately just makes you dislike her, and I hate it. I honestly hate it.
know.
I don't want to dislike this person just
It's the
because
strangest
they're
thing.
written badly.
It's the strangest thing because Marvel has done unlikable characters that are likable. Tony Stark being the best example, right? Thanos as well. He's a literal villain, and I like him more than Captain Marvel.
Literal fucking psychopath, and I can
relate to him more than Captain Marvel.
Sympathize. Exactly. That's bad.
That's when you know you've made a mistake. But let's move on. Well, I think we've talked about this episode way more than it deserves. It's shocking.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say that the next episode was the highlight of the season for me. The What If Ultron won? Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant example of a what if.
Amazing.
So good.
Holy shit. Okay, no, first of all, can we talk about the suit he constructs, right? It's not an infinity gauntlet, it's an infinity
It's an infinity suit. So it's I think it's made entirely out of vibranium, which is what the final form of Ultron is made out of, right? So I think it's made out of that. And he's got the Mind Stone in his head like Vision would, and then he's got all the other stones across his chest. And the scene that like in any kind of movie or TV show or whatever, when you want to introduce that a bad guy is an even bigger bad guy than another bad guy, you have the bigger bad guy just fucking kill the first bad guy. And that's exactly so I thought it was okay.
Thanos walks in, hi, and then just gets killed.
Yeah, just slice in half.
Sick.
and it makes you think that, okay, so Vision could have very easily saved the entire universe if he had just known to slice him in half. But Vision's a good guy and wouldn't immediately go to that, whereas Ultron doesn't give a shit, and that would be his first instinct.
Exactly. Vision, because he's the Vision Zone, he would understand Thanos for who he is, who is like, I don't want to fucking cut you in half.
Yeah.
So that does make sense. And then, holy shit, that episode just escalates from there. It just keeps on escalating, and you realize, like, holy shit. Like, and it's very robotic-like how Ultron is, the way he works. He's always looking for a purpose.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is weird, but I just watched WALL-E, and they're always like, directive.
You can see the parallels.
Exactly. How robots are just like, what's my purpose? And I love that.
Ultron in Age of Ultron is okay, but this episode does do a great job of actually elevating that character. And they make him really that, like, android, that, like, emotionless, like, there's a really funny moment. Like,
I'm gonna fuck everything
there's
up.
There's a really funny moment in the final episode where he gets the Soul Stone taken from him, and he's like, "You took my Soul Stone." And it's just like, it works because he's a robot. But anyway, so they don't have, who's it, James Spader? I think he played the original Ultron. Yeah. He's not back. They've got the guy who did the impression of Red Skull in Infinity War and Endgame instead of Hugo Weaving. They got that guy, and he did the Vision, sorry, not the Vision. He did Ultron in this episode and episode 9. And he does a great job of that android voice.
He does a very good job.
Well, like, because it can be really hard doing that kind of more boring voice, but keeping it interesting. And he nails it. It's great. And what I think's interesting about this episode is I think it takes a lot of inspiration from Zack Snyder's Justice League because, or maybe not even that, like even going back to Batman v Superman, how Zack Snyder was building towards this nightmare world where the heroes lose. And it's like, instead of like Avengers Endgame, where it's like the heroes lost, but now it's just like the world, but there's less people. It's like, no, the whole world is like in chaos. It's apocalyptic, and there's not many heroes left. And it had that very Zack Snyder feel. Like you've got kind of the OP heroes are gone, and you're left with the real street level heroes. And
Black Widow, Hawkeye, and shit like that. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a cool little B plot that comes into play in the final episode. And, you know, I think they do a good enough job with keeping that part interesting, but definitely the more cosmic side of it was definitely more interesting. With Ultron, it is funny because I think, you know, Thanos, you know, decimated half the universe by snapping his fingers. I think Ultron doesn't, like, have the capacity to think of that. He's like, I will go to each planet and kill everyone on each planet individually. Because I've done it on Earth and I'll do that everywhere else. And there could also be an aspect of, you know, after he completed the entire universe, he finds out that there are parallel universes. And it's like right before that moment, he has this kind of depression as he's realized
Exactly.
he can't do anything more until he realizes that there's more universes out there to conquer. And there could be an aspect of him going to these other universes and kind of taking them on more slowly to enjoy it, because he knows that at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, he'll have no more purpose. And he didn't like the way that felt.
Exactly. Yeah, when it was such a badass scene when he was like, well, fuck, I've destroyed the universe. And then what if what's his name again?
The Watcher.
The Watcher.
Yeah.
Like, you know, is looking over him and talking.
Yeah.
And then
talking
Ultron
a bit
goes
too
like,
loudly.
Yeah, talking a bit too loudly. And Ultron's like, wait, who's this guy? And the Watcher's like, what the fuck? And goes into his room where, like, you know, all the fucking universes are. And he's like, oh shit.
Yeah. And it's like, happening? I've really fucked up now. I've really royally
And I love
fucked
that.
up.
I love that, how he's just like, I've destroyed the entire, like...
The entire multiverse. I was told to never intervene, and now I accidentally intervened, and I'm going to need to actually intervene to fix this.
Intervene more.
Yeah. And it says, I must never
hilarious.
intervene. Oh, fuck. What have I done? It's so good.
I love that.
And then something I didn't think we were going to see was the Watcher in fight mode. He was taking on Ultron. There's a scene where he, like, gets, like, this golden armor, and then they start beating the shit out of each other, like, who's more powerful. And it's brilliant. They start beating each other into parallel dimensions.
Yes.
It's so sick.
It's sick. It's so sick. You see, like, Steve Rogers as president, and you're like, whoa. And then, like, he just fucking punches him through another universe, and you're like... this makes sense.
One of the worlds was from Star Wars. It was the lava planet that Darth Vader lives on. That was one of the worlds that they got punched into.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you fact check that?
Okay. I'm pretty sure. Google it if you want.
Visions, what if crossover? No way.
Hey.
That'd be insane.
I think we'll get a Star Wars crossover eventually. Like a proper one.
Amazing.
I think we will.
That'd be probably in 20 years.
Yeah. Because Kevin Feige, the architect of the MCU, is making a Star Wars movie. I think it's a lot.
Well, then, finally, a good Star Wars movie.
Hopefully.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But yeah, this What If episode is so much fun. It's exactly what we've been wanting from What Ifs, which is
complete chaos.
Just a complete
fucking
deviation from the story. A believable one. Like, what if Ultron won?
Yes.
He very could have won, right?
Yes.
And another example of Tony Stark dying in What If. He just dies in almost every episode.
He loves it.
And yeah, it's exactly what we want. It's not taking a story we've seen before and slightly retelling it. It's whole new story, completely different stakes. I mean, this story, the ramifications for this is that the whole multiverse could end, right?
Fucking end.
And this episode, of course, ends on a cliffhanger that leads into the final episode.
I love it. I love the cliffhanger where Doctor Strange is there and he's like, yeah, do you want my help? And you're just like...
I love this version of Doctor Strange. I love it.
Same.
He's so overpowered. It's great. It's like... It's and it's the fact that, like, the sorcerer side of the MCU should be more like a horror. It should be like these weird creatures and just it's kind of fucked up. Like,
should be more towards like The Witcher, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
it should be kind of scary, you know.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is going to explore some of those horror elements because they've got Sam Raimi to direct that, who, of course, directed the original Spider-Man trilogy, but also directs a lot of horror movies and is a huge horror movie fan. So I think we're going to get some horror movie elements bleeding into that movie as well. But, so episode 9 of What If, I think I want to touch on firstly that there was a missing episode. Did you notice that?
I just couldn't remember. Like, I feel like there's a running joke because I was looking on the Reddit and everyone's like, I just can't remember that episode. Could you remember that episode where there was like, Gamora killed Thanos and everything?
Yeah, and Tony went to the planet in Thor Ragnarok and instead of Hulk.
Yeah, it's Sakaar.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember it like it was yesterday.
I remember that. Everyone, exactly. No, and everyone's just taking the piss, and it was just like, fucking.
Like,
wait, no, because I actually thought like they were telling the truth.
Yeah, and that you had missed an episode.
And I was like, oh fuck. I mean, I'm excited to see this episode, but
no. So let me explain what happened. So essentially, COVID happened, and What If? Apparently, all of the episodes were supposed to be 45 minutes, and they had to be shortened to half an hour, which explains so fucking much of this show because the episodes literally just, firstly, they breeze through a lot because of how short the episodes are, and then they just end at a random point. And it makes so much sense when you realize they had to cut down all of the episodes because of COVID.
Oh my God.
And one of the episodes in the season had to be cut because they couldn't deliver it on time. Marvel was very strict that this show had to come out when it did, and such. There were compromises made to the show. And this was the episode that was cut. It was supposed to be 10 episodes long. And the What If Gamora Killed Thanos episode was the one that went missing. And it's going to be in next season. But I think it's a bit weird because it's like we already kind of know how it goes. So...
yeah.
And the cool part, if they just continue on from it, then we've missed the cool part,
Yeah, like, and that's a shame. I feel like what's stopping... I mean, that sucks. That sucks that they were actually going to be 45-minute episodes because that would have been amazing. Yeah. Like,
it would have fixed a lot of problems.
It's been a common mishap where, like, most of these episodes have needed more time to explain more shit. Yeah. But that's, like, I feel like they just could have postponed, like, the 10th episode and had, the 9th episode of Gamora killing Thanos, like, because it's kind of just ruined this episode now. I mean, like, we've been introduced to Gamora as, the Thanos killer that she is now. Yeah. And it's just kind of ruined her.
And like, because Tony is essentially wanting to create the Infinity Gauntlet to save the universe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
That's true.
And it's weird as well because it's like they introduce in this episode the Infinity Crusher or whatever it's called. That crushes Infinity Stones. And it feels like that was probably introduced in that missing episode, and that would have explained it a lot better. Because it was like, this thing, you put the Soul Stone in it and then it crawls over and then it drills and it's like, but then it doesn't work. Because Infinity Stones are different in every universe, so it only worked on the Infinity Stones from the universe that the machine was created on. And anyway, it's wackadoo. This whole episode is like, it's just the big third act finale, essentially, and it plays out like good guys versus bad guys. The good guys win, and there's cool moments throughout, but. It's nothing. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. Unfortunately, there's cool team ups, like Doctor Strange and Thor. Very cool that was a great team up. Yes. Thor through the hammer. Doctor Strange turns into a million hammers.
Fucking a million.
That's fantastic.
Amazing.
And I think that's something Marvel's really good at. Is those like in those Avengers type movies, you have heroes teaming up in certain ways that you wouldn't think of, and it's really cool. So that's great.
Absolutely.
But I think my big issue now is that, like, this What If was supposed to be an anthology. It was supposed to be a bunch of episodes that weren't connected, that could go in and do their own thing and not worry about continuity. And then they've built a continuity. around it. And they've kind of forced themselves into a corner where they had to do this big blockbuster type episode. And it was like nothing. It was like nothing we haven't seen before.
It doesn't work. I feel like it just doesn't work at the end of the day. Because writing yourself into a corner is silly, honestly. And I feel like that they should either like revert from doing these kind of, episodes at the end where everyone comes together.
Yeah.
As good as they are, I feel like they should keep doing.
You can't do that every season.
Exactly. Exactly. I understood it for the Doctor Strange value that, the Watcher would team up with Doctor Strange because they kind of had an interaction.
Yeah.
That made sense. How he went to all these other,
because the thing is,
multiverses.
He's picking together a team of what he considers to be like the team to take on this Ultron. But
fucking shit.
But why would he pick this version of Thor? Like, there's much better versions of Thor.
Yeah, exactly. Like Doctor Strange, yes. Killmonger, yes. Yeah. That's it. That is
everyone else you don't need.
Gamora?
Or maybe, that version of Gamora specifically, Thanos killer, maybe.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, everyone else,
other than that, doesn't make sense.
And because I thought what I thought was going to happen, and the reason I thought T'Challa was there was that he would talk Killmonger out of being the bad guy.
But there was none of that.
Because that's what he did to Thanos on his world. But no, that didn't happen. And I think, I don't know, the idea of just trapping Killmonger and Ultron with, who's that scientist? What's that scientist's name? The German dude, the German man. German little person.
Fucking Valheimer, I don't know, motherfucker. He's a really good actor though, but again.
That's so sad, I don't know this.
But that was good how they ended it, how that episode
German doctor... Captain America. No, the other one. German little person.
Is he little in real life?
He's pretty small.
I reckon he looks about 5'4".
I've got the guy. Erskine. His name's Erskine, is it? Abraham Erskine? Okay, I was navigating. No, that's the good guy. That's the guy that makes Captain America. Zola. That's the one. Arnim Zola.
There we are.
Arnim Zola. So in the comics, he is when after World War II, he similar sort of story where he's like in a computer or whatever, but he ends up being in a robot's stomach. So then this was like a callback to that where you have Arnim Zola.
Yes, because he was in the stomach. Yeah.
So that's a callback to that. But anyway, my point was that I don't necessarily like the idea of just trapping Killmonger and Arnim Zola in this pocket dimension that Doctor Strange has to look after. Because it's like, this is for all of eternity. Like something's very, something could go wrong. If you have an infinite amount of time, something's going to go wrong. But,
that is bad. Just destroy it, for fuck's sake. Find it. I would spend...
Use the stones to destroy the stones.
Destroy the stones. Exactly. Why do they even need this Infinity Crusher if they can just use the Infinity Stones to destroy the Infinity Stones?
But yeah, so...
They need an Infinity Helper. Infinity Instructions.
Yeah. The Infinity Stones should come with
Infinity Instructions. An Infinity Manual.
Yes.
And
what's interesting is in the comics, the Infinity Stones only work in the universe that they belong to. And in Loki, the Infinity Stones don't work in the TVA. So people thought that that's what they were going to do with the Infinity Stones, but no, they do work in other dimensions in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they are just different somehow. They're just not the same stones.
That's true, because Ultron was traveling in between universes.
And you could see him using stones to do certain things. And here's the thing. The episode ultimately just goes to different colored lasers being fired at people. And that's the laziest type of fight battle you could do. It's just, here's a blue light. Oh, here's an orange light.
It is. I feel like I needed some Ultron doing some fucking heavy shit, like throwing planets at each other.
And when
you know?
so this episode answers like a lot of the cliffhangers. Well, it kind of doesn't answer them. It just kind of shows you what was going to happen after. Like, you know, like the what if everyone died? You see Captain America and Captain Marvel fighting off Loki's forces. The what if T'Challa episode, you see T'Challa Star-Lord save Peter Quill. And, you know, it carries on some of those stories, right? But there's a moment where Doctor Strange gets all of the zombies to land on Ultron. And he says something along the lines of, you know, it's not just the zombies, it's who's with them. And that made me think, oh, we're going to get zombie Thanos versus Ultron. And then no, it was just Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, that's true.
I think zombie Thanos fighting Ultron would have been sick.
Fucking insane. It would have been insane. But yeah, it was just Scarlet Witch. And I mean, she put up a fight for 10 seconds?
Yeah.
And then it was just like, oh, go touch them my way. Exactly. But yeah, the lasers are very lazy.
Yeah, the lasers are very lazy. Lazy lasers. Those fucking lazy lasers. The final thing I want to talk about is Black Widow. The Black Widow in this episode is from a universe where everyone else died, essentially. She's like the last remaining surviving human. And so she replaces a universe that lost their Black Widow. Now, a little part of me thought, since Black Widow in the mainline MCU died, that we could be replacing that Black Widow. And then we go to that, the murder episode, What If? Where you have Captain Marvel and Captain America forming the Avengers, and that's where Black Widow takes the other Black Widow's place. But I thought that was a missed opportunity because, you know, we just got the Black Widow movie. It feels like we should be getting more Black Widow, but we're not.
Yeah.
So
why can't we have more Black Widow?
Too little, too late.
Come on, Scarlet.
I don't know.
Come on, Scarlet. You've got a lot more in you.
You won the lawsuit. Now let's move on.
You won it, and you're like, shit, I enjoy this.
Yeah.
Let's keep doing it. You're a fucking badass character.
Yeah.
Come on.
And and you know, not to compare women and not, you know, put women against women, but Black Widow is a better female superhero than Captain Marvel. So
100% written better. Yeah. I mean, you sympathize with her, like, and you want her to win, whereas Captain Marvel's like, just like, have some depth, please, instead of being like,
exactly,
I'm gonna fucking kill you. You know,
but
like,
do you have any closing thoughts? Like, as the season as a whole, was it worth it? Was it a good show? Did you enjoy it, or did it make you annoyed?
It was a very good show. Like, I love 30 to 45 minute episodes are the best. Like, you know, 1 hour episodes, I reckon, like, because they're kind of like Game of Thrones, Squid Game. Yeah. They kind of have 1 hour episodes where it's like, it feels like a really long episode. I'm not going to lie. You're like, when's this shit going to end? Yeah. Whereas 30 to 45 minutes is good. Because it's like, it's in between the 20 to hour minute. But yeah.
How many of the Marvel Disney Plus shows have you seen?
Loki.
And just What If? Is that the only two?
What If? Visions.
That's not Marvel. I mean,
no, but it's Disney. Yeah. You said Disney.
I said Disney Plus. I did say Disney Plus.
That's Disney Plus. Yeah.
So I will say,
but Marvel.
I will say I've seen them all. I've seen WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, and now What If. I think, in terms of, let's just focus firstly on the ones that are building towards this multiverse story. Mm-hmm. WandaVision did it the worst, right? Which you haven't seen, but it alluded to a lot of things that ended up not happening. Loki gave us the multiverse, and it explored it in a really cool way that was like a great introduction to understand how the multiverse works. And then we get What If, which is a great showcase of the potential of the multiverse. Mm-hmm. And I think Loki and What If go really well together as like companion pieces. So they're really great. Mm-hmm. I'd say still Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which again you haven't seen, is still probably my favorite because it was so good. It was like It was like dark and gritty Captain America movie over 6 hours. It was great.
Wow.
It's
okay. I need to watch it then.
So, yeah. So I'd say what if is probably, I'd go WandaVision. What if is above WandaVision, and then Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's my rankings.
Wow.
So yeah. Have I frozen? Did I just die? Oh, I'm back.
No, you're fine.
So I will say that the next time we're going to talk about a Marvel TV series will be Hawkeye, which comes out in a few weeks in November, which is it's a Christmas movie as a TV show. So should be interesting.
It should.
Now, we have to move on, and we'll probably breeze through this movie because there's not much to talk about, but a few weeks ago, a movie came out on Netflix called The Guilty, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and it is about a police operator, people on the phone, the 911 you call.
911, what's your emergency?
Exactly. And it just tells a little old story about him responding to a call. And it's based off of a German movie of the same name. And so it's a US remake.
Yes.
And I don't know. I liked it.
Yes. I'm not going to lie. I watched it as well, and I liked it. I liked it as well. It was similar to the Voyeurs movie in that, like, you were seeing, like, you were hearing a situation through a phone. Like the Voyeurs movie, you were
given a very specific point of view of the narrative being told. You don't have all the information. And the character makes certain assumptions, and you make certain assumptions as well. And then the story unfolds, and we'll get into spoilers. So I think just do a quick spoiler-free review. It's
spoiler.
Just quickly spoiler-free for the next couple of minutes. I think the movie does a great job of holding your attention because it's literally just a guy in a chair and a computer screen, and it's so entertaining to watch.
It is.
So that's brilliant, and it's all because Jake Gyllenhaal is he's
amazing.
He's one of a kind. Like, he is such a good actor, and he sells every scene in this movie, and it makes it worthwhile.
Very similar to The Watch, if you've seen that.
I haven't. I really need to. Yeah.
It's very good, and like the character he plays in The Watch versus The Guilty, very similar because it's cop, like he's very serious, but he's also he has this carefree aspect that he's like, I'm doing a job, I can't be fucked to do some things, and like there's some bullshit shit that everyone can get kind of along with and sympathize with. That like everyone has a job to do, and everyone like kind of thinks their superiors are bullshit.
Yeah.
And some rules are bullshit, but like at the end of the day, you just got to do a job, and that's what this movie kind of outlines. Is like his job.
He has a specific job to do
on some people's lives.
There's a moral conundrum of like, well, how much outside of his job can he go to try to help these people? And you find out that it's because he's, spoiler alert. Now we'll get into spoilers. It's because he's atoning for a sin that he committed, and it's not directly told what it is, but essentially we can assume that it was police brutality, and he likely killed an African American, and that's why his hearing or like his trial or whatever is like the following day after this movie. So what I think happened was he killed a black man, and then he was until everything was sorted out, he was like banished to working behind the desk. But he still wants to help out. And it shows the character in a really realistic way where it's like he's not a bad man. He's a complicated person with, who wants to do the right thing. But we see in this movie, he makes an assumption that because he's getting a call from a woman in a car or in a van with a man, that the man kidnapped her and is abusive to her, and he makes certain assumptions there that don't end up being correct. So it plays into really well kind of the dynamic of the police and how they make these assumptions, and there are consequences to making those assumptions. We see in this movie that potentially she ends her own life, and that would be
sad
on him. Not entirely, but like he puts it on himself. right?
Yeah.
Until you find out that she's okay, and then you also find out the baby's okay. They're both in the hospital, so it's all good. But still, it's this moral conundrum of oh, I made an assumption that is now risking someone's life because I didn't do my job properly, you know? And that's the exact reason why I'm here in the first place, because I made an assumption that ended up getting someone killed. So it's great in delving into like the issues of the police and how that affects the individual at the center of it. Like,
oh my God.
The movie doesn't judge Jake Gyllenhaal. It presents him in a very like kind of factual way, and then you need to make up your mind what you think of him. That's fantastic, you know?
I agree. I feel like that this movie tackles a lot of, I wouldn't say social dilemmas, but like, yes, these assumptions that we take, like when this woman called being like, oh my God, I'm in, you know, this van. And I hadn't seen the German remake. Ferg, on the other hand, had, and he kind of knew the story, but you still sympathize with this woman. You're like, fuck, like, help her. And Jake's character's like, sick. Right, like, I'm going to help her. I'm going to do everything I can. The guy is the target, you know, he's armed with a knife. And at the end of the movie, you realize that you're wrong. Yeah. And it's like, like at the end of the day, I feel like, you know, if this happens in real life, you're always straight to blame the police and go like, fuck them, you know, they didn't do their job. It's like, they're real people as well.
Yeah, they make
assumptions just as they make
and
mistakes and assumptions.
I think the movie did show you that he could have looked up her mental health record and found out that she had mental health issues, but he didn't. Yeah, because he didn't think to go into that direction.
Exactly, and you can't like blame him, I guess, because it's just like fuck, you know, like
he's trying his best. That's what he's doing.
Yeah,
and the systems in place, like the bureaucracy of it all, is slowing it down, and he's feeling like he's like these people's lives are in danger, so he's trying to kind of bend the rules to try to get a better outcome, because everything's so slow, because there's a certain process involved in getting things done, and that builds a lot of tension throughout the movie. That you're like, oh no, like, you know, like it's brilliant how you have these conversations with the woman and maybe the man too, but they then cut out, and then he's now trying to talk to the other police or whatever to try to get more information
to get back to where he was before. And it's so interesting how like he'd call the cop on the highway, and you'd think they'd be trying to like, you know, they'd be onto them. And then, you know, they're obviously not, and it's exciting, but it's also like you're sitting at this desk you're just hearing what's going on the other end. All you can do is imagine. And I like that aspect of this film.
No, and that's what's great as well is there are shots that show you the events happening, but it's like an out of focus shot that's kind of far away. So it's like you're seeing what he's imagining happening, and it's not, you don't get the full vision of what's actually happening, which is great. It's like, it breaks up the movie, so it's not just him sitting in the chair the entire time. And the movie's really well shot. You know, it's beautiful to look at. And I think the movie just makes a lot of smart choices. Now, again, it's a remake, so I don't know how many of these choices were attributed to this remake versus the original. But things like the California wildfires, like constantly being on the TV, and like it's like approaching him, and it's like this metaphor of like the sins like coming towards him, like all the bad shit he's done that he can't escape. Oh, it's just great that it's just this continual visual reminder of all this bad shit that's happening, and it builds with the tension, and it's great, you know. And in addition to that, the fact that he's asthmatic, and that's like, you know, certain things trigger that, and then he's like, you know, he gets like tight in his chest and he can't breathe. It's just all of these things work so well together to build the tension.
Very well crafted. And at the end of the day, like, it is a very good watch. Very good watch.
And it's on Netflix, so it's practically free. So go watch it.
Yeah.
Like, Jake Gyllenhaal, fantastic man.
Amazing.
He can do no wrong.
But yeah, what would you add to that film though? Like, if you could add anything, like, because I feel like I mean, other than like yes, it's a good how you follow these, these two people in a car. I feel like it'd be more interesting if like we got to see more of what he dealt with, like maybe a family in a building like that was on fire in the California fires or something like that. Like
So you're saying you would have liked to have more kind of stories, smaller stories throughout about his phone calls, and then have
and
the overarching bigger one in the as well.
I think that would be better, honestly. Yes, have these smaller ones that would actually add to this overarching like you have these all the, like imagine all these like smaller cases be like oh my house is on fire, or like oh I'm coughing, there's heaps of gas around, and then he finds out like there's this bigger thing going on, there's like some shit has exploded, but I would
it's a tough one because it's like I think this movie has such a narrow focus, and a lot of movies don't. A lot of movies just go too big with their scope, and it ends up fucking them over because they can't cover everything that they want to, right?
That's true.
Whereas this movie's such an specific focus that I think it works telling, because it's essentially everything's playing out in real time, and we get this hour and a half story in the life of this man. So I think, I don't know what I would add to it, because it's got such a laser sharp focus that I think a lot of things you could add that might make it more interesting could take away from the overall movie.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. From the overall
because sometimes say when we watched The Voyeurs, I was watching this movie banging my head against the wall, being like, you could have done this so much better. Whereas
that's true.
This movie, I was like, I don't know if there's anything I would change. I was content with, I don't think it's the greatest movie in the world, but it's a very specific movie and it nails what it's trying to do,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah, I think I wouldn't change a thing. I don't think I'd change a thing about it.
Wow. Okay.
So.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to shut down you.
No, but no, I that's good. That's good.
So,
I
as well,
agree.
This movie being a remake of a foreign film kind of is an interesting point, because the US, Hollywood specifically, is very much about existing properties. It's something that they know will make money, right? So that's why we get, movies based on books or comic books or video games or remakes of other movies.
Yes.
Now, the US has made a lot of remakes of its own movies, but it's also made a lot of remakes of foreign movies. Now, sometimes you can argue that it kind of makes sense because, Americans for the most part are dumb. So they're not going to watch foreign movies because they don't like subtitles and dubbing or whatever. So then it's like if you're taking a foreign language film and you're, Americanizing it, making it in English so that an audience that wouldn't have watched the movie can now watch the movie, fine. But
fair enough.
The US also makes a lot of remakes of UK movies. So it's literally just this money-making... That's all they care about is money, making money.
Exactly.
So you brought up Death at a Funeral.
Death at a Funeral.
So
I watched this movie, I think 2 weeks ago, the UK version. Brilliant film, absolutely brilliant. All the characters in it are very believable. Nothing in your face about them, but just the little things that happen to them, these little inconveniences that build them. And that makes it absolutely hilarious at the end, is just pure joy, this film. We were actually looking up what it got, the Rotten Tomatoes on Google, and it came up with this American version. And same fucking title, and we're like, okay, let's have a look, let's see how different this film is from the original UK version. It's exactly the same. It is a carbon copy. I'm not going to lie to you. The plot, the script is just some of the stuff they say, even some of the characters, they just some of the remarks that they have are not even translated, but just
word for
taken
word
into the next movie. Yeah, word for word. And it's kind of hilarious, but dumb because it's a UK film. Americans can understand this
too.
fine if they, can't put up with the UK accent, but like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, it's
So
just lazy.
I have not seen Death at a Funeral, either version, but I have listed some other remakes as well. Some I have seen, some I haven't seen, and I thought I'll just list them down and see if we want to talk about any of them. So the first one that I thought of was The Italian Job. Now, is this a good or a bad US remake?
I would say it's a good because it doesn't it's not a carbon copy. I feel like this is the one with Jason Statham, right?
Jason Statham, Mark Wahlberg, Charlize Theron, and Edward Norton.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it builds on it and makes its own kind of movie.
Yeah.
Like that's fine. That's fine.
I will say it's a few things don't make sense about it. Firstly, The Italian Job happens in America. It's not The Italian Job. Secondly, there's no reason that they have minis because in the original, it's so that they can they can drive it in the bank. But in this, it's so that they can drive it within his house or whatever, his giant mansion, and you could fit any car in there. So there's no specific reason it's minis as well.
And they don't even go in the mansion, do they?
I can't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But I would say that's also, it's a better example of a remake because they do something different with it.
Exactly.
And I don't know, it's fun. At the end of the day, it's kind of like a shitty Fast and Furious movie. But on a smaller scale. It's like...
Well, was the girl with the dragon tattoo, that was an American remake, wasn't it?
It was.
And that was quite good. Quite good.
I haven't seen the US version with Daniel Craig. I've only seen the Swedish version. Swedish version, fantastic movie. But the US version, critically panned.
Yes.
And there was another one that came out called The Girl in the Spider's Web, another US version, and that was also shit. So I think that's an example of telling a specific story that is based on, it's based on a specific culture, so then you have issues when you try to translate it.
Yeah.
Because not all things apply. And so that was on when I Googled, best and worst US remakes, that was always on the list was Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Another one that was always on the list was Godzilla 1998. Have you seen the 1998 Godzilla?
Yes, with let me think. Well, it was fucking whack.
It's got Ferris Bueller, I believe.
Ferris Bueller and Stallone? Does it have Stallone?
I can't remember.
Or am I insane in the head?
No.
I think it. I don't think it does, but or maybe it does. I don't know. But I remember watching that as a kid, and I was like, "This shit is fucking bonkers."
I watched it as a kid too, and I think it's probably a great kids movie. I remember having a good time.
It's amazing
watching it as a kid.
It's amazing.
But we may as well also chuck in Godzilla 2014.
Amazing.
That's a good US remake. Because the thing that movie does that no other Godzilla managed to do as successfully was you get that scale of I'm a human, I'm tiny, this thing is huge. So good. And then Godzilla King of Monsters ruined it with just turning it into fighty fight. And then Godzilla vs. Kong made me want to die. Yeah. So
Kong Island though?
Kong Skull Island. Banger. Not a US remake of a foreign movie, but good movie.
It's good.
Good. And now I thought I may as well include a few TV shows. So two of the most notable examples are The Inbetweeners, which was horrendous, and The Office, which worked really well.
It was good. Yes.
Really well. So
I feel like though Inbetweeners didn't have too much to they didn't experiment too much, whereas The Office, they had the first season where it was kind of rocky and they tried to do the Ricky Gervais, shitty boss. And then they were like, this is not working. And then they fucking tried
They
something
had the ability to pivot. And I think
Exactly.
I think they were able to pivot because they had who's Michael Scott? Oh my god.
Steve
Carell. Because they have Steve
How
Carell,
can you
and he's a big-ish name in comedy. I think that allowed them to pivot because enough people watched the show even when it wasn't very good. Whereas the In-Betweeners probably wasn't given a chance because like no one famous is on the show. But in saying that, In-Betweeners is a very specific show. It's making fun of the high school years of UK teens. And they tried to do that just in the US.
In the US.
And that doesn't make any
not
sense.
work.
You should be making fun of US teens instead, but they don't. So that's why, whereas The Office...
No, there's no school shootings involved.
No.
It's just not realistic at all.
No, 0 out of 10, not enough school shootings.
Exactly.
Whereas The Office is like such a universal concept.
Yes.
And the big difference between the UK and the US version is the UK version is kind of like supposed to be, oh, we've all had this kind of office experience. Whereas the US office is, oh, I want to have this office experience.
Well, yeah, it tells more of a story of all these characters.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Like you kind of know these characters personally and they're given these, these different kind of challenges.
Yes.
But I feel like you're right when you say
now let's do some anime ones. Ghost in the Shell and Notebook.
Okay. Ghost in the Shell with Scarlett Johansson.
Who is not Asian.
Who is not Asian, but they tend to do that because it's like, oh, she's a good name. That's fair enough.
They give her Asian hair.
Does not work. They do give her Asian hair. She kind of suits it. And she kind of plays the robot off kind of well.
I watched that movie in theaters and I can't remember a thing about it. So I think it's generic is what I would say.
Generic. But not as bad as The Notebook.
Not The Notebook. What's it called? Did I call it The Notebook or did you call it Notebook?
You called it The Notebook, but I'm calling it Death Note because that's what you meant.
That is what I meant. I'm glad. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I'm glad that was fucking psychological. But yeah, the Death Note Netflix adaptation. The only thing that was good about that was with the Death Note character, wasn't it? Who played
Willem
that?
Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe played.
Great man.
Yeah.
Great man.
Amazing. That was the only thing done well. Only fucking thing.
Because even like
disgusting show.
Deaths, it's like Final Destination has cooler deaths, than Death Note. Yeah. So
but like, and that's the entire, like, that's not what the anime was focused around.
Yeah.
Was the deaths. All the deaths. It's more focused around, like, oh, why are all these people dying? And everyone else trying to find out who the fuck's killing all these people. But yeah.
Okay, here's one. The Departed.
The Departed?
It's a remake of a Hong Kong film called Internal Affairs. Martin Scorsese remade a foreign film.
Wow.
And The Departed is a great movie.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Wow.
So
I didn't realize
there are some good examples. This was probably one of the only ones I could find specifically regarding films. Other good ones for shows include House of Cards and Shameless. They're great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, House of Cards is a little shit now because of fucking Kevin Spacey being a pedophile. But still, the show was good at the time. And Shameless is a great show too. I've only seen a few episodes of Shameless, but I want to see more because it's a very fun show.
Yeah. I need to watch them, honestly. I don't know why I'm not. Probably because
And that's the thing, is we've been struggling to find things to watch, and there's a back catalogue of so many good shows.
I haven't watched House of Cards, Shameless. Well, I'm not going to watch Game of Thrones, because I just can't commit an entire lifetime to that. You should watch You've watched Altered Carbon, haven't you? From Netflix?
I started it. It was kind of shit, and like, the early episodes are kind of shit. So it was hard, it was a bit of a slog. I know it kind of gets better, but like, it was a bit of a slog and I just couldn't do it. I have issue with dramas on TV because, again, we've kind of talked about it, but they're an hour long and they're a bit boring. Even like Better Call Saul, which I think is a fantastic show.
Amazing.
I'm struggling to watch. So comedies are like so much easier for me to watch on TV. And some of the best like shows out right now are comedies. Like Barry with Bill Hader. I would say that is probably the best show on TV at the moment, and that's a comedy.
Oh my god. Why haven't we talked about Barry?
Well, we will when
Like,
season 3 comes out. We'll do a big old episode on it.
And The Boys. Have you seen The Boys?
To see The Boys, that's a longer form episode that I can deal with. 40 minutes,
Fucking
I can deal with that.
amazing.
But yes,
The Boys is probably the best quality TV show on this planet right now.
but let's just cover off a few more. So, have you seen Old Boy, either version?
Yes, I've seen the original version.
Right.
Was it Japanese?
I believe it was South Korean.
South
could be
Korean.
wrong.
I'm sorry. It was ages.
But yes,
but
and
yes,
then there's
it's
the
amazing.
US remake with the guy who plays Thanos. I forgot his name.
Yes. I can't remember either. But yeah, I don't want to watch it.
Yes.
Because the original is amazing. Yeah, I'm glad you covered that.
And then
I was thinking about that.
another great notable one is the Intouchables about that paraplegic who comes through his ear with the black man.
Yeah.
And that was remade with Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart called The Upside.
So bad. So bad.
Oh, boy.
Why the fuck did you remake that film? It's a beautiful film.
Beautiful
And you're
movie.
we gotta make money off this, you fucks.
We're going to make money off
Let's just-
paraplegics.
It's terrible.
Oh.
It's terrible. I feel sorry that those actors had to play that.
Okay, let's just do one more before I end on another one. This one's a little cute one, all right? And I didn't know about this one. 8 Below, right? Paul Walker with the dogs in Antarctica. Very sad
Oh
movie.
yeah, shit.
That is a
my
remake
God, I
of a
love that
movie
movie.
called Antarctica from Japan. I haven't seen the original, but 8 Below is a fantastic movie.
Oh,
It's so sad.
I watched that in cinemas. I watched that in cinemas when I was a kid, and let me tell you, it did bring a tear to my eye. But fuck me, I wanted to be on a sled with some dogs.
What was sadder? What was sadder? 8 Below or the end of Furious 7?
I thought you were about to say 8 Below or 9 Underground. Or was it 6 Underground?
6 Underground. No.
6.
But we're never talking about that movie again, okay? Please, get that out of your head.
Sorry. Yeah, look. I'd probably say Fast and Furious 7.
That was sadder because it was a real world death.
Yeah, because it was like, oh, he's gone. He's not
dead.
coming back. Yeah. But
Okay,
yeah.
so now my last one that I just want to end on because this third season is out right now and it is so good and it has no reason to be this good, and that is What We Do in the Shadows. There is a US TV show remake of the New Zealand film and it's really good. It's really, really good. Like, 3 seasons are out now. Go watch it. It is so funny.
What streaming platform do I have to buy?
Binge or Foxtel.
What the fuck? Can you just be on like Netflix or Stan or Prime for fuck's sake? What? Who even buys Foxtel these days except for old people? Or Binge? Oh, actually, I think I do have Binge.
You could probably get a free trial.
I do have Binge. My Ferg has Binge for fucking Game of Thrones. Because he's dedicating his life now to Game of Thrones. So
Why would he
he
do that to himself? Why would he do that to himself?
He's actually not. It's his significant other that has chosen the route of watching that treacherous TV show. But I'm actually really excited now to watch that. What We Do in the Shadows TV show.
It's going into it. I thought, oh no,
Yeah.
oh no,
I would think oh no.
and then they recontextualize it in a lot of ways. And the actor called Matt Berry, he's in the IT Crowd. If you've seen the IT Crowd.
Oh yes,
He's
yes.
so fucking funny. He has like this. He has like such a deep, like big, loud voice, and he always goes like, "Oh fuck," and it's so funny. Like it's so funny, and so good. They introduce so many new concepts. Like they create this vampire called an energy vampire, which is essentially just a really, really boring human being that sucks the life out of people by being so boring. So it's like he'll be in conversations with people and he's just talking about like, these shoes are actually a new version of like this shoe out of the US that does, and he'll just like make something up about like the most benign shit. It's so funny. So please go watch it. It's great.
I'm excited.
It's so good.
Excited.
And it's because
I've been needing something.
it's like on TV, right, with sitcoms, there's not many that are like that kind of R-rated type sitcom, and this goes for it. Like this, like there's a lot of swearing in this. There's a lot of adult themes, and it's really appreciated. So if you haven't seen it, the original movie out of New Zealand, directed by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement, fantastic movie.
Amazing.
But this TV show, this TV show was made by them both. Great, fantastic. Go watch it.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm actually excited now.
So that has been the episode this week, talking about What If and The Guilty, and then a few US remakes. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, follow, do all of that good stuff. We're a podcast now and at a pod now everywhere. We post funny clips on TikTok and Instagram if you would like. And if you comment something, we may read it out. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's all we have to say.
Next week, Sydney cinemas are open. Lucas, you can get fucked. I'm seeing Shang-Chi. We won't review it though. We won't review it until Lucas can see it. But I'm going to have a grand old time finally watching Shang-Chi. I cannot wait. It's going to be so good. You're a loser. Get fucked. But what we will talk about is there's a few things. So next week is DC Fandom, which is a fan event for DC, upcoming DC movies and TV shows and whatnot. So we're going to see The Batman. We're going to see The Flash. We're going to see Black Adam. We're going to see Shazam 2. We're going to see Aquaman 2.
It's going to be
And
good.
we're going to see a bunch of other movies that we don't know about yet. Maybe Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. We'll see. Maybe. They might announce it.
We'll see.
So we'll do a big old fat news segment. And then we'll talk about Old, which is the new M. Night Shyamalan movie that is got to have a lot of twists in it because that's what he does. He's just so twisty.
Gotta have a lot of twists.
He's very twisty.
Gotta have the twists. Twisties.
His favorite food is twisties. So
Really?
look forward to that next week.
Yeah. I'm actually excited.
There we go.
It's gonna be
a huge, big old episode. So
Gotta be huge.
So please catch us next week. We love you very much, and
We do.
good night.
Good night.